Okay. Going over every stratagem in the game. Level 44 right now. Pretty much 90 to 95% of my gameplay is on the Hell Dive hardest difficulty. Just because my entire friends list is max level. That's what we enjoy playing on. I have every stratagem in the game with max money. Just wanted to go over a little bit of them after 50 hours of gameplay and some things that I saw. So every single one, even the ones that aren't entirely useful. So first we have the machine gun. I mean, it's a machine gun. There's not really much to say here. If I had to use a machine gun, I prefer the stalwart just because you can reload while walking. I'm sure because you cannot reload this one while walking, it has its certain advantages like damage or fire rate. You can increase the fire rate of both of them, to my knowledge. I never really use a machine gun. If I wanted to bring in a rapid fire weapon to clear out hordes, I would much rather bring in a sentry. That way I can also shoot at the same time, but it is a great weapon for bugs. I'm not sure I'd recommend it on the highly armored targets, especially for the robots, but that's up to personal preference. Anti-material rifle. I've used this like once, and it just does not hit armor as hard as you need it to be a viable weapon, especially since the mag is very small. When you have a bot drop or a bug breach, this thing is not going to save you from anything. And unless I'm misusing it, it's pretty much a worse version of the railgun. Wouldn't recommend it, but it is fun. It is quite fun for lower difficulties. And even on higher difficulties, I believe it still one-shots the very weak things, but so do most guns. The stalwart, same thing with the machine gun. I mean, bring it in if you like it, your game, have fun, absolutely. I've never used it personally. I just don't really like machine guns in games. Never been my type of thing, but it's a great gun. Expendable anti-tank. I don't know, because I have brought this in several times simply because of the low cooldown and the fact that I don't have to reload it, which you're like, yeah, obviously you don't have to reload it because you lose it after. So obviously I can probably shoot 2 of these because you get 2 in the package. I can shoot 2 of these and then get 2 more in 70 seconds, or I can shoot solo 4 or 5 or how many ammo of this in 70 seconds. I will say I have not seen this do this much damage. It's called an anti-tank. If you shoot it at a tank, for some reason, sometimes the tank blows up. Other reasons it doesn't. I don't know if it's if you hit it on the head it blows up, or if you hit it on the side it doesn't blow up. I'm not exactly sure, but I have shot Hulks on the highest difficulty with both of these anti-tanks, and it is still standing. So take that into consideration. If you are shooting it at a horde, I'm sure it'd be very satisfying. I've never used it for that purpose. Or if you're on a lower difficulty where they do not have that much armor, absolute great gun. Just grab it, throw it away, you have another one in 70 seconds. Recoilless rifle, here's the thing that gets me about this, is it's just an anti-tank, but it's not expendable, I think. It's got a much longer cooldown, but you can pick up ammo for it once you're out of ammo. And it says here, include support backpack required for reloading, which I do not understand because every single one of these weapons I have used, never mind, don't answer that question. Include support back required for reloading. At first glance, this sounds like you need a second person reloading, and that's what I thought it meant, but I guess if you have the backpack on, you can reload it. It just takes longer, which I don't really like this description. Maybe I'm the only dumb one here, but for some reason I thought this was saying you need 2 people, which is not true, but I guess technically it's not saying you need 2 people, so I think I'm just dumb for that one. I mean, it does damage. It's a rocket. That's all you need to know. It's, once again, it doesn't one-shot the things I wanted to one-shot, but it's not going to in the highest difficulty, and that's the fun part of it. When you shoot a rocket at something and it just doesn't flinch, it's terrifying and it's amazing. Flamethrower. I've used this once, and then I never picked it up again, intentionally. You will burn the grass around you, you'll set yourself on fire. If your teammates are walking in front of you while you're using this, that's on them. I mean, there's just so many other things that do so much better horde damage than this. And the fire over time, especially in higher difficulties, is not that good, which I hate to say because I love using fire weapons. I love incendiary grenades, napalm strikes. They're so satisfying to look at. It just isn't all that. The autocannon, I mean, it's great for piercing. Oh my goodness, I clicked out of it. It's great for piercing armor. Just like half the weapons on this list here, it does the job. Once again, not gonna one-shot the things, but none of it's supposed to. It's really just a matter of personal preference. Now the railgun, this is almost a must-have because I think it's like 6 to 10 shots on a Bile Titan will kill this, especially if you put it on the unsafe. You can one-shot a charger. I don't like to use it on the unsafe because I'm too dumb to let it go before this charges up. But even if you play with it on the safe mode, it will still 4 to 6 shot a charger, depending on if you're missing, which try not to miss, but ammo's not a huge thing. I like to bring this in everywhere. I mean, it's great. I don't know why you wouldn't bring it in, to be honest. I will say it's not... At first it was very satisfying and fun to use, and now I'm finding other things are more fun to use, but if you're going for like a flawless game, or a blitz mission, I would definitely recommend it. Now the spear is like a worse version of the recoilless rifle, simply because it can only lock onto larger targets, and I have still had scenarios where it does not one-shot them. So if you're expecting a weapon that can only lock on the large target but does a massive amount of damage for the large targets, that is not always the case. Like it can one-shot the tank, but in several defense missions, I've brought it in, and you can't. And then you're sitting there for 8 seconds trying to reload it, which is fine if you're these guys in the tutorial here, standing here not getting shot at. But I'm not sure what situation you would be in where there's 2 tanks and you're not getting shot at by either of them or anything else. So you're just better off with this or this, in my opinion. Now into the orbital cannons. Orbital Gatling Barrage, I mean, it's supposed to be a low cooldown, low damage thing. Works great for hordes. I think it's a little bit inaccurate, especially if they're walking towards you. So, you throw it at this group here. If they keep walking towards you, it can't really compensate for that. Of course, you can just throw it in front of the horde. So you kind of just need to learn the call-in time, which isn't much. But I mean, fairly good overall. Orbital Airburst Strike, I don't personally use this one just because I did find myself missing. Even though it's a short call-in time, I would throw it, they'd walk away, or I'd misthrow it, and it's not a big radius, and I would quite literally miss simply because it is only one burst, and it's got a relatively high cooldown time for what it does. Both of these barrages I would never recommend you use. They're so inaccurate, it's not funny. The daily or weekly, I think it was the daily, was to get 50 kills with this. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in this game. Not only does this thing not kill, it does not do enough damage to kill, it doesn't hit anything. I mean, you can throw it at the biggest swarm, the biggest hive you've ever seen, and these little dudes will still walk away from it. It's not joy. Same thing with this. All this is going to do is kill your teammates. You can throw it at this big airbase here, and you're going to tickle each enemy, and then they're going to turn around and just shoot at you. I mean, that's all that's going to happen. It's not going to close any terminate holes. It's not going to blow up any automaton producing buildings. It's not going to kill anything. It's quite literally useless. Orbital Walking Barrage. I've never used this, but I've seen someone use it. Kind of the same thing. If all your enemies are standing here, like both their legs are broken and they're just waiting to be killed, sure, use it. But in a scenario where you are running from enemies and you're coming this way and they're following, the Orbital Walking Barrage is not going to be useful. And 90% of the layouts in the game, say you throw this on like an automaton factory or a bug nest, they aren't this long. If this thing was wide, or if this thing shot in a square or a circle or something, maybe. But it's not this long for a 240-second cooldown, 2 call-in times, 2-second call-in time. It's okay, but there's better things. It does a decent amount of damage, but there's definitely better things. Orbital Laser, I mean, this thing's just amazing. It's gonna auto-target thing. It'll even take out automaton buildings, which is great. You can throw it on a small, medium, or even possibly a heavy automaton factory and walk away. not only will it kill everything, but it will target the buildings too. So you don't have to walk up to it, throw a grenade in it. You don't have to sacrifice another orbital or another eagle strike just to take care of the building. So if you're going for that 100%, like my squad does, you know, go in, do everything, clear every little factory, walk over to every red spot and question mark on the map, throw this at the small and medium factory and walk away. And if it doesn't destroy it, then just blame your pilot that's shooting it, because they're just bad. It does a whole lot of damage. I will say there's two different ways you can use this. You can use it for ad clear, which is a rough use because it's 300-second cooldown time, and you only get 3 uses. So you would think it'd be better to use on tanks, but it will take a while to kill tanks. Chargers on the highest level, it will take 10 to 15 to 20 seconds to kill them. Especially with a Bile Titan, you can throw one of these on it, it will not kill it, to my knowledge. If you have not touched the Bile Titan before and you just throw this on it, it will not do it. So if you have a mix of hordes and heavies, that's where I find it shines. Or if you're trying to take out a base or a nest, something like that. Because if it does happen to go over the nest hole, it will destroy it. Versus, well, we'll get to the eagles later, but some of the eagles just don't. So yeah, very good overall. The unfortunate part is only 3 uses. Because a lot of games, this 300-second cooldown is very much worth the damage it puts in. But it's only 3 times. So like if this was a 450-second cooldown but unlimited, this would be the best thing in the game. Because you don't need this much power all the time. But the fact that you will need it more than 3 times. So it's a little unfortunate, but... And then the orbital rail cannon strike. This one's great overall with the unlimited. Someone on my team pretty much always brings this in. 1 shots chargers, 2 shots Bile Titans. So if you already have some damage on the Bile Titan, I'd recommend doing this first and then chipping the Bile Titan away. That way none of the damage potential goes to waste. Because say you already have it 80% dead and then you use a rail cannon strike, well, statistically, the rail cannon strike might be able to do up to 60% damage. Well, you've just wasted 40% damage. So call this in on fresh enemies, right? Something that you haven't already used 3-4 mags on. You might as well just keep shooting at them at that point. The unlimited uses is absolutely amazing. The auto targeting, amazing. Like I said, 2 shots Bile Titans, 1 shots Hulks, 1 shots Chargers. I believe it 1 shots tanks. Don't quote me on that. I don't normally bring it in for Automatron, and I've kind of stopped bringing it in general just because of the high time, and a lot of what my role is to not take out the big guys. I deal with a lot of hordes in my role, and I don't take out the big guys, but this is just an absolute great one overall. Of course, I believe it does require level 20, so I mean, you know, as you go down the list, these things are going to get better and better because they require higher level, but just some of them like this are just not entirely worth it. Let's see, moving on to the Eagles. So Eagle strafing run. I've never used it. It looks fine for horde clear. Honestly, let's see. You have the walking barrage. It looks like a smaller version of the walking barrage. Much less damage. 0-second cooldown time, 4 uses, 8-second cooldown time. This is why I like the Eagles, and I pretty much only use the Eagles. The orbitals are high damage. Eagles, I mean, I can throw in 5 nukes in 2 seconds. Oh, okay. He did not have to message me that. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. Let's see. Yeah, low damage. Amazing cooldown time, though. Like, if you're getting chased by a horde, throw this behind you. It will instantly get called in. Swoop into the horde. Because they're all going to be chasing you in a line pretty much anyways. Unless they're coming from different directions. But, I mean, it's just not going to do that much damage on high difficulties. And it's not supposed to, you know? So the Eagle Airstrike, I've also never used this one. Based off the picture, it looks pretty powerful. But on higher difficulty, I can't imagine it would do too much damage. It may still one-shot these, considering it is explosive bombs and not just guns. 3 uses, 8-second cooldown time. Once again, amazing. Which, you know, this is something like you might use to get rid of hordes. You don't want to use this on like a big standstill group. Like, you could almost see... Hold on, go back. You almost see back here is a nest. I would not throw this on a nest. It's not going to do enough damage to clear the nest and get the amount of value, but if you have a lot of bugs in one area, because there's already going to be like 4 to 8 bugs, right, in the nest, I don't believe that's enough value. Here, you know, for tutorial purposes, they have put 20 bugs together. That's amazing. But unless you have that scenario, I don't know. Eagle Cluster Bomb, this is one of my favorite. 0-second call-in time, 5 uses before you have to reload it, which, why would this have more uses? I mean, it is like, so what it's going to do, you're going to throw it in front of you, and it's going to move from left to right and just slaughter everything. I mean, you can throw 5 of these at a Bile Titan, it's not going to kill it. You can throw, you know, 4 or 5 of these at a Charger, I don't think it'll kill it. But if you're being chased by anything, I throw it at my feet and I keep running. And since it shoots it left to right and not up and down, I don't know if that makes sense, but since it shoots it left to right, as long as you keep running, it will not hit you. And if you throw it at your feet, it is almost perfectly timed to hit whatever is chasing you and just slaughter it. I mean, you can preemptively throw this at a nest. That's what I'll do. If I see a nest coming up the hill, I will throw it over and just bomb everything in the nest. That way, when I walk up to the nest, I can just throw grenades into the hole and leave. Instead of having to fight everything, clear everything. Now, they will get aggroed, so you have to time this very smart. Like, you need to be at the nest when you throw this. And as soon as it hits, you need to be in there killing things. Because if you don't clean up whatever it didn't kill, because it will miss. If you don't clean up what it didn't kill, but they will call in more, and the nest will spawn more. But overall, this is like absolute S tier. I bring this in every single time. I mean, it's just without fail, I bring this in. Eagle Napalm Airstrike. This one's very satisfying. I like it a lot. I used to use it a lot. Excuse me. 8-second cooldown time again. Find that with the Eagles. 3 uses. It's just, it doesn't do what I would like. It doesn't meet the standards, unfortunately. You throw it down and it says a wall of fire which will stop the enemy in their tracks. It will not at the highest level. It just won't do that. And you can throw it on them, and you would think, you know, the actual physical missiles hitting them would hurt. It doesn't. It does not. It's very satisfying. Don't get me wrong. I love using it. I mean, it is just spectacular to look at. Just watch a napalm strike go down. All you're gonna do is kill yourself and your teammates, unfortunately. Jump pack. I've never used this. I have never equipped this item. No, that's not true. I've equipped it once, and I didn't find a situation where I needed to use it. Mantle over the wall, walk around the wall, dodge the charger. It's in my opinion, a huge waste of a stratagem slot, especially in the missions where you only get 3. If you bring this in, I'm yelling at you. Plain and simple. Alright, Eagle Smoke Screen. No. Just no. No. I've had this work, I think, once in my 50 hours of gameplay. I've thrown down a smoke screen and, like, swerved to the right a little bit, and they lost me. And I don't think it was because of the smoke screen, because I think it was a bug, because 3 Bile Titans just started clipping into each other. So I don't even think it was the smoke screen that worked. Excuse me. I mean, automatons, they'll just keep shooting where they last saw you. You will still die. Maybe if you run right to left, something. But they just walk through the smoke. With the bugs, you throw the smoke screen on it, they don't just go, oh no, there's smoke, let me stop. They just don't. They just keep walking. And as soon as they smoke, they see you, you're dead. So just know. 10, I don't even, oh gosh, 110 rocket pods. I don't even know what means. Am I an idiot? 0-second call-in time, 3 uses till you have to recharge. 8-second cooldown. Great for heavy targets. Or so I've heard. The highest, like maybe 6 to 7. Great for heavy targets. Not a huge radius. Do not miss. 8 to 9 though. Gosh darn it, I keep doing that. It's still not really gonna one-tap the heavy targets, but it's nice because of the 3 uses, 8-second cooldown, you know, over this, right? I would take it any day over this, because they're gonna be grouped up anyways. They're not gonna be spread out like this while they're chasing you, and they're not just gonna be standing here. Like, I reference chasing you a lot. I spend a lot of my gameplay just getting chased. Just sprinting, and then diving, turn around, dumping a mag, and then sprint again, and do it all over again, because that's what this game is. And that's why it's so fun. You're not just standing here, right? So this right here is much better because they are going to be grouped up. They're going to be in the small radius. So once again, throw it at your feet. By the time it lands, they will be where you threw it. Excuse me. So last one, Eagle 500 kilogram bomb. Most satisfying thing in the game. Love this one, right? It's exactly what I do with it right here. It's almost a waste though. Like, you would think using it on big targets, it's not gonna one-shot the Bile Titan, but dang does it look good. If your Bile Titan is any type of weak, it'll kill it and everything around it. I mean, sometimes it doesn't even get chargers if chargers are too far from the center, but it looks cool. And 2 uses on an 8-second cooldown, and then you have to wait, I believe it's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 2 minutes 50 seconds, something like that, for it to come back. I bring it in every time, just because it's so cool to look at. Is it the best thing in the game? No. Is it good for clearing out high areas like this in a nest? Yes. But it's also very costly because of the 2 uses. I mean, but once again, throw it at your feet, keep running, you will be out of it. Especially since the way blast works in this game is if you're behind an object, even if you are right next to the bomb, I don't think it'll hurt you. I haven't done testing right next to the bomb, but I've been very close. So in this example, right, if he gets behind that rock right there, even if it was closer, I don't believe it hurts him. Maybe you need a bigger rock. I'll tell you, okay, don't hide behind that rock specifically. But if you are behind a half decent sized rock, a barrier, a wall, something, you can throw it down. You don't have to run 100 meters away from this thing, right? If he throws it into this nest and just sits on the high ground right there, it's a linear explosion. It doesn't, go crest over the hill and blow you to pieces. It doesn't do that. Sit on top of this hill right here, let it explode, and immediately walk in and kill everything before it can respawn. Simple as that. Very fun, very useful, big damage. Okay, Orbital Precision Strike. Unlimited 100-second cooldown, one of the best things in the game. It gives this to you. There is no reason this thing should be this powerful. Yes, it's a 3-second call-in times. Sometimes it sticks to an enemy, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why it doesn't. I don't know why it does. But is it powerful? Absolutely. This thing is good. My level 50 team, 80 to 100 hours in this game, still uses this. Okay, that's a lot of hours. Hold on. I think maybe they're like 60 to 80. Yeah, there's no way they're 80 to 100. I need to have a chat with them. Still uses this. Because you don't have to refresh it. You don't have that 2-minute, 50-second recharge on the Eagle, right? It's a ton of damage, 3-second call-in time. Once you learn the call-in time, amazing. Orbital Gas Strike. I like it. Can't say it does much, though. Especially in the higher levels. Lower levels, maybe. Smoke them off, right? Use it as a smoke. Make them have to walk through it. They will die. Not really in the higher levels. And what I found is that as soon as this green stuff will disappear, but the damage will still be there. I will be walking through my own gas and die in a matter of like 1.5 seconds. If I don't react in time and stim, even if I do stim, I can't see the gas. It's like visual disappears, but the damage barrier is still there. It does more damage to you than the enemies. Now, the only reason I do bring it in is because it doesn't have a recharge time and it's 75 seconds. 1 minute and 15 seconds for a decent amount of damage. Maybe a little bit less than decent, but decent, right? So if I can have decent damage every 75 seconds, to me, that is better than massive damage on one target every 210 seconds. Because of how I play. If your job on the team is to bring in that rail cannon, and it's to bring in the railgun, kill the high enemies, you're not going to be using this. Not even probably. You're not going to be using this. Where'd it go? You're not going to be using that. But it is decent, and because of the low cooldown is why I bring it. I've had several people tell me not to bring this in, but there are chases that will go on for 3 of these. I can throw 3 of these down before everything behind me is dead. Maybe that's because I'm bad at the game. It probably is. But it's fun and it's nice and it's cool knowing that I can throw 3 of these. You know what I mean? Oh, anyways, Orbital EMS Strike. No, your EMS mortar does this 2,000% better. No, I'm not even sure I want to explain this one. Slows enemies, shuts down the robots. No, absolutely not. Just don't. Orbital Smoke Screen. Same thing with the other smoke screen. This one, a little bit better because of that linear thing. This is what my team brings in. on very, very high difficulty robot levels. Does it work? 60% of the time. Other 60% they walk through it, right? Because they're not just gonna be standing here. Maybe 50% of the time. I don't know. You kind of need to get creative with it. HMG emplacement. Why would you shoot when something else can shoot for you? You know. So I don't really understand this one. It's fun to bring in on defense missions where you're just standing there anyways. Wouldn't recommend it otherwise. I mean, 180-second cooldown is just not. No. Mm-mm. And the slow turn radius. I mean, if you're trying to shoot something 90 degrees to your left, you're dead. It won't turn that fast. It's just not gonna happen. So wouldn't recommend this over any other century. Shield generator relay? No. No. They're just gonna walk through the shield and destroy this thing. Especially if you have any good amount of enemies on you. No. Like, yeah, you can shoot through the shield, but just keep running. I mean, the amount of time this thing takes to call in, it says 0 seconds. It's not just gonna spawn in, right? So like, it just, even holding a defensive position, I found that offense is better than standing in this thing. Which, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Might be misusing that. But especially since it has so little use when you're like actually physically running from a horde, you're gonna be using this once a game, and that's when you're calling an extraction. Taking up an entire slot just to use once a game is absolutely not worth it. So that's another factor here, is the versatility of things, right? That's why this may not be worth it. You're a sitting duck here. Tesla Tower. I've had a lot of people complain about killing your teammates with this, but I think once you understand how to use it, you don't really kill your teammates, and it may actually do a large chunk of damage. The thing is, there's not many situations where you're going to be using this, simply because the lack of range. Now, what I think the devs pictured, especially with this thing right here, is to avoid friendly fire, remain prone. I think what you would do is prone, like right next to it, with a machine gun or with whatever weapon you want, right? Maybe something a little bit armor hitting, right? So prone here with an auto cannon, okay? Or I guess maybe it's just called a cannon because you're holding it. I don't know. You focus on the heavy ones while this thing takes out anything that gets close. Okay? That, I think, is the most practical use for it. Unfortunately, there are things that do it better, but this is also quite high damaging. I will say, I've thrown this thing down several times, and it disappears before I get the chance to, like, set up. Like, the fact that I have to set up, the fact that they have to get so close is just so detrimental to this thing, it's not funny. So I wouldn't recommend using it. Looks cool. Maybe in specific situations where they have to come around one corner, or, you know, very low level horde coming towards you. But if you have a charger in that horde and they just run to, it's dead. I mean, it's just, you know, it's just not a thing. Anti-personal minefield, very fun. Very good way to kill your teammates and yourself, because you just don't see the mines. I mean, it does a lot of damage. Throw it down. What I know use it to is to cut off an area, right? So if I'm extracting and enemies are coming from the left, I'll throw it to the right. You know, in case they come from the right, I hear explosions, I know exactly what's happening. Or if they're coming from the left and they can't come from the right, or maybe I just want some kills because it's cool. It's cool to watch them walk through the minefield. I'll throw it right in front of them. It'll drop down. Even if a charger runs at this thing will spit out the mines before they can destroy it, and then there's nothing they can do. They cannot destroy the mines. Unlike the sentry. If they charge at the sentry's gone. Right? I mean, it's... Incendiary mines do fire damage. Once again, not the best thing. This thing does high damage, but on higher difficulty, they're just going to walk through it. Unless they get hit by every other mine, and still... A Bile-Titan can hit every single mine in this field, and it's not going to do it. On a 180-second cooldown, there are better things for Horde. I will say the good thing about this is it doesn't disappear, right? So you're not dependent on ammo or whatever. But of course, as soon as they hit a mine, it does disappear. So just take that as you will. Okay, so supply pack. I've never used it because it's very rare I run out of ammo in this game. And it's very rare situations where you can stand there and just hand your teammate what's it called? Ammo. I will say my squad, we play very independently. So all four of us will go completely different directions. And if you die, then the closest person throws you towards you stuff and you go pick it up. Like, we don't, play off of each other, because there are missions where you have 10 minutes to complete everything. And on Helldiver difficulty, yeah, we can probably kill things more efficiently in groups, but we want that 100%. We want that 100% and that 70% time bonus, right? I mean, that's why they're level 50, because they are playing this. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, taking the game difficulty and just making it harder for no reason. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm sure it's great, but you're gonna run out eventually, and you just go to any POI. Like 50% of the POIs have ammo, right? Some POIs are useless and they just give you like a medal or a super credit, which super credits are nice. But as far as like in game, yeah, they're useless. But go to the next one. That's 2 meters away. You can see it on. You can either see it on the map if you have a radar station, or you can just look and be like, that's a building. Let me walk to it. Grenade launcher, amazing for clearing egg nest. I would never shoot this at an enemy because it's gonna bounce back at you and kill you, and it doesn't do enough damage to shoot at the big ones. But when we have an egg run, a blitz run, clear nest, kill eggs, we pretty much all bring this in, because we can solo a nest, we can solo eggs, whatever we want. Bring this in. Once again, wouldn't exactly use it to shoot an enemy unless you are desperate. That is the only time I find myself bringing it out. When like I'm in extraction and there's 3 Bile Titans and I've picked it up and I don't have time to switch back to my primary weapon, just spam it at them. And it's you can dump 2 mags at the Bile Titan, it's not going to do anything. But it is amazing for completing objectives. So I use it as more as a utilitarian tool than actually killing things. Laser cannon, I've never used it. I've had my teammates bring it in. I will say it does pretty high damage from what I can tell, because, well, they don't bring in things that don't do anything, right? They seem to like it. Unfortunately, I can't really weigh in on it, but I don't find this type of gameplay fun, and to me it's about having fun. And unfortunately, a lot of what is fun to me is doing high damage, big explosions, even though that takes a high level, and some of you may not be high level, so I apologize if this is very biased towards high level stuff. That's just what's fun to me. It really is. It's the, so I've never used it, can't really weigh in on it, but considering they bring it in and it seems to shred, I definitely wouldn't be mad if someone, brought this in. I think it's pretty average all around thing. I think it's a good one. Incendiary mines, worst version of the mines. The burning damage does nothing. It's just like, I don't even need to talk about this again. Just bring in the regular mines. Guard dog rover, very good way to kill your teammates. Great against bugs. Now, I haven't seen it used at higher levels, because at higher levels you're going to be using this. If you don't use this, then you're just not playing this right. Which, once again, to each their own. But me personally, I don't enjoy dying 15 times in a single match. That's just me, though. Guard dog rover, good against bugs. Never even seen it used against automatons. I've never even used it. There's just better alternatives for backpack slot. There really is. I mean, it's just another horde thing, Oh, excuse me. Especially returns to backpack to cooldown. No. If it's fun to you, absolutely go for it. But this is more of like a recommend for Helldiver difficulty, and just no. Ballistic shield backpack. My team likes to use this for the automaton. Oh my gosh, I just realized I'm saying my team like we're a competitive squad. I will say we treat this very competitively. We get very serious about this because we're a bunch of nerds. But ballistic shield backpack, I've never used it. I don't like riot shields. Never played riot shields in Rainbow Six Siege. Excuse me, never played them in COD. It's not my type of gameplay. But they say it's effective. Obviously, if you get hit with a rocket, no. But they say it's effective. Take it as you will. I personally don't think it's worth it, but what if you'd like arc thrower? No. Oh. This thing tickles. It like sneezes on them, and then they just kind of look at you funny and then start beating you up. It's just, no. Shield generator pack saves your life. Blocks you from getting knocked over, slowed, whatever. I mean, just absolutely required to bring in. I don't care if you're on 1 difficulty, because sometimes you dive and they swarm you and you can't get up. This is the difference between life and death, even on 1 difficulty. You know, it seems very overkill for 1 difficulty. The only issue is it is level 20. But once you get level 20, this is the first thing you're buying, because it is absolutely a necessity. Playing without it, once you have it, it's just a different game. I mean, the display here, it blocks several bullets. It can block, I mean, it takes up an entire health bar worth of hits. This rocket one-taps you, right? This rocket will one-tap you if you don't have the shield on. Because we were like, oh, you know, automatons do so much damage, this shield's useless. Don't bring it on the automatons, bring in heavy weaponry. No, we learned real quick. Even though when we didn't have shields, we learned real quick how much the shields were actually doing, even though it didn't seem like much. So just bring that in. Machine gun sentry, worst version of the Gatling sentry. I'm not even gonna go over it. Same exact stats as far as here. No, Gatling sentry, high rate of fire, best thing for hordes. I bring this in. Do not bring it in on higher difficulties. Lower difficulties, helping out, you know, whatever. Maybe up to like 5. But on higher difficulties, it's just going to be chargers and bio bugs and bio titans, and this thing just cannot mow down a charger before it charges at it and instantly destroys it. It will be instantly gone. It will get you maybe 10 kills, and then you're done for. But absolutely, in my opinion, one of the most satisfying things in the game. I love throwing this thing down. But even on a defense mission, wouldn't recommend it. Mortar Sentry, absolute S tier. Throw this down just like it's using now outside of a factory. It will bomb them before they can even see you. Throw it down on a defense mission. That's what we were doing. We were farming XP. That's why we're a little bit higher level than people who actually have lives. We were farming XP, just threw 2 of each mortar down in the center. And once those ran out of ammo, threw 2 more. That's the entire game. That was the entire... We completed defense missions in under 4 minutes and 30 seconds. That was the entire... We just did that. 13 hours, right? That's how powerful this thing is. But it will kill your teammates. Don't stand next to the bots. I've seen a whole lot of tip videos, you know, play like this. Just don't stand next to the bots. It's that simple. Play around it. You don't have to play around it. Just don't be next to the bots, right? I mean, but once again, don't throw it down if you're being chased by a horde. That's another thing. If the bots or the bugs are already next to you, don't throw this down. But the good thing is, what I like to do is, if I'm running up on something, or maybe I am being chased, but I see a place where I can kind of make just a little bit of distance, just a little bit of distance, just enough to make to where I don't get one-tapped. Maybe I still get hit by the mortar, but I know I will not be one-tapped because of my shield. I will throw this leagues in front of me, or leagues to the left, right? And just walk the other way. And it will come down, it'll start shooting them. Works like a charm, right? Don't throw it in front of you. They will target it. I don't know. I'd say it's situational, but show me a situation where this isn't at least okay. Right? I don't know. Guard dog? No. Once again, I actually did use this one because it's unlocked at a relatively low weapon and it's cool. This concept right here is amazing. Higher difficulties? No. Lower difficulties? Maybe. Laser cannon's better though. And this thing runs out of ammo so fast, it's not funny. I don't like it. It made me sad. Because I was satisfied for about a minute. And then after that I was like, wow. I just wasted a slot. Because now this thing's just sitting in my backpack. Autocannon Sentry. Great for high armor targets, but it will not focus them. You are almost better manually killing the high armor targets, bringing in a Gatling and standing beside it and dropping a nuke or dropping a rail cannon or dropping or using the autocannon yourself, you know. But the fact that it's on a sentry is not good, right? It is just, it doesn't have a range, it can't turn fast, it will shoot the 1 health bug. It isn't the best on a sentry. If you need the high piercing, high armor firepower, there are better ways to get it. Rocket Sentry, an improved autocannon sentry. It can deal with both hordes and high armor. Doesn't do extremely high armor. doesn't do extremely horde. You know what I mean? I don't know. It does actually aim at larger enemies, which is nice, but I don't know. It's just not as satisfying. It's not a single time where I've brought this in, especially when I can bring in a mortar, you know, for high enemies, and I can bring in other things. It's just very low on the list, unfortunately. Oh, that's the wrong thing. It's very low on the list, unfortunately. But it works. Like, there's nothing bad about it. I just don't enjoy it myself. That's okay. Now, finally, EMS mortar sentry, absolutely, 200%, 200%. This is why you don't bring in the EMS mortal strike, because this thing is just 80,000 times better. It will stop anything. If you pair this and a regular mortar sentry, every single thing is dead. And the good thing about this one is you don't have to use it with a mortar sentry. Like, that's the obvious combo, right? One to slow, one to do damage. You can have this thing supporting you. You don't need it supporting another mortar. You can have it supporting a machine gun. You can have it supporting an autocannon. You can just be slowing everything and then walk up to it, because these will not kill you. I have been bonked on the head by one of these shells, barely any damage. Did it hurt? Yeah, maybe like 1/10 of my health bar. Especially if you have the shield on. It just, like, this thing is just amazing. You will get slowed and it's very annoying. But so is everything else around you. It's not like you're getting slowed and they're still just walking towards you. I mean, but once again, you know, this is much more of a defensive one. Because this will not, I mean, it will technically get a horde off your back, but the chances you will also be slowed, and I mean, it's not going to kill him, right? But this thing is just amazing. We slept on it a lot. We used the mortar at first, and then we really just saw, like, the potential of literally just randomly throwing one of these things. It's just horde management. It's just training in zombies, but you're not playing COD. It's just absolutely amazing. So I know that was a lot, and I probably didn't go into as much detail as I'd prefer, but that's just kind of my opinion on all the best ones to use. It was very level biased, and I understand that.
Greetings,
but,
Helldiver.
you know, I'm having fun with the game, want to make a video on it, so I appreciate y'all.